Welcome back to the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable. I'm Alice Stockton Rossini. Today, we're talking to an unsuspecting poet, an RV dealer expert on how to improve the bottom line, a seasoned businessman with a step-by-step plan for success aimed at small businesses, a professor and CPA inspired by her dog with an uncanny ability to connect with animals, and a man who has a lot of funny memories to share. We begin with R Tomlinson, who probably doesn't look like a poet, but he is, and he always has been. Now the proof is in his book entitled My Journey, Blue Collar Blues, and you have a lot of experience to draw on.
Oh my God, how much time do you have? I've done a lot of things. I built seed corn plants for a seed corn company when I was younger. Then I moved to the Caribbean, and I was a diver, a commercial diver. Then I went to West Texas and built drilling rigs out in Big Spring, Texas. Then I moved to Fort Worth and was somewhat of a millwright. And then I did fabrication. Then I went to work for Corning in fiber optics in Fort Worth. And they built a plant in Mexico. So I went down to Mexico to help set up a line, assembly line. Came back to Iowa in 2002. My folks were sick. Now they've passed. So I'm living at a lake here in Iowa. And next month we're going to Florida to look for a place in Florida.
What an interesting life you've had.
Yeah, I've been around.
Yeah, that's great. Are you glad you did it that way?
Oh yeah, I've worked in 4 different countries and met a lot of people and kept a lot of friends. And no, it's been interesting. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
So the name of your book, My Journey, Blue Collar Blues. Were you writing prose and poetry as you moved around through these various jobs and countries?
Yeah, I started writing, I guess, when I was about 15. And I compiled all my works, and they were kind of helter-skelter. So my neighbor here at the lake, he said, Rick, we need to put together a book. And I said, I don't have a clue how to put together a book. He says, well, I do. So he edited everything for me. And then we submitted it to y'all. And that's where we are now.
Wow. So how did you keep, was it little pieces of paper all over the place or journals?
Yeah, pretty much. I had notebooks everywhere that I kept with me wherever I went. So I'm glad I didn't throw them away.
What did you write about?
Oh, life experiences, people, emotions, life's journeys.
Anything stand out?
Well, when my daughter was sick and I wrote God Gave Me an Angel, that was one of my favorites. Another one was Red Cake. That was for my grandmother who lived to be 102, and she made red cakes for everybody. So, things like that.
Do you tell the story behind the poem in your book?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
You do. So you give us context.
Yeah, pretty much all my poems were through life's experiences and emotions.
Can you give me an example?
Well, let me look.
So you said the one about your daughter, that's a standout.
Yes.
What's the story behind that?
Well, that was written for my daughter, Wendy, who at 21, she got non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Oh.
And back then, well, she's 50 now, but back then, they really didn't know what to do. It was all experimental and everything. And they've come a long way now. Now they can batch individually for people. But back then, they used to just give rat poison to everybody and hope they lived. Well, she lived. They said she'd probably never have children. And then at 31, she got it again. So that was another 9 months of chemo and all that. And she survived, has 3 kids and grandkids now. So that one really touched my heart. It was a tough time to go through, and uh,
That's a miracle.
yeah, she's a trooper. It was a miracle. It was a miracle. So that's the storyline behind that poem.
Do you want to read the poem?
Oh, I can. Let's see if I find it here.
Not knowing anything about you, do people look at you and think you're the kind of guy who writes poetry?
Not at all. When it came out, everybody was shocked.
I kind of thought that.
Oh, here it is, page 12.
Okay.
Yeah, the people that I've gifted, or they've bought my book so far. It's funny. I have a physical therapist I go to, and I went in the other day. She said, "Oh, Rick, I just read your book a little at a time because it makes me cry so much." And I said, "Well, it's supposed to make you feel." So here's God gave me an angel. God gave me an angel, the special kind, no wings or halo, no bells or chimes, the kind that comes in flesh and bones, the kind that comes with their own soul. Her name is Puhl. I named her that after a character that's short and fat. She's loving and happy and concerned for others, don't judge or condemn, but tends to mother all she's known or will ever meet. If you know her, you're lucky indeed, because you two have met an angel. No bells or whistles, no wings or halo, but the kind of angel that can touch your soul where no one else can, above or below. But deep inside, where there's good and evil, she reaches in and helps you juggle what's good, what's bad, what's wrong, what's right, what's up, what's down, what's day, what's night. God gave me an angel, the special kind. She's also my daughter, my blood, and my friend.
Oh.
Love you forever and day. It makes me cry.
Oh, Rick, that's so sweet. That's so sweet. Is there anywhere you can go to read your poetry? Any poetry slams or poetry nights, open mic nights anywhere?
I don't know. I haven't really looked into that. And I'm not a very good reader anyway. I don't have really the voice for it, but we are planning out here at the lake. We have a community center. We're going to have a book signing out here around Memorial Weekend.
Oh.
So, so it's starting to get nice here. So
Okay.
my editor, CR, Creighton Rothler, and then his wife, Nancy, she did the artwork for the front of my book for me. So they're really good friends here at the lake, and they really put all the backbone into this book for me, really.
Okay. Are you going to keep writing?
Yeah, I'm still writing. I don't write as much. Being 72 now, it's I'm kind of in the fourth quarter of life, and I'm pretty settled in and pretty content now. Just not of circumstances or really come up in my life anymore. I'm just pretty content of what I've had and what I've done. And that's not an excuse. It's just the way I feel.
Well, that's fine. Good for you. People listening will probably wish that they would get to that point in their lives. Some people die and they're still not content,
Yeah. I write a lot of eulogies. I know that.
Eulogies?
For my family. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm always asked to give eulogies at funerals for family and friends. And
so you're a good writer.
I've written some pretty good eulogies. Yeah. The trick is, you give history and that, and then add humor at a funeral, and try to make everybody relax and even laugh. So yeah. Everybody seems to think I do pretty good at that. So
yeah. But I think it's interesting that you were able to, get married and have kids and move around as much as you did.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Anyway, really nice to meet you.
Oh, you also. I appreciate your time.
All right. You are Rick R. Tomlinson.
Correct.
Author of My Journey, Blue Collar Blues.
Correct.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
RV dealers, listen up. Myril Shaw has quite the background in the recreational vehicle industry, and he's developed a strategy for you to significantly increase your bottom line. He spells it out in his book entitled Profit Magic, and he talks about how AI will one day be a very useful tool.
Profit Magic is about how, especially recreational vehicle dealers, although it does work for the automotive space, but it's better for choice buyers. But it's about how recreational dealers maximize profit, especially on the finance and insurance component of a transaction. So I built and ran a couple of finance companies for the recreational industry, where we actually served as the F&I department for boat dealers and RV dealers. And in the course of doing that, I had a chance to speak to a lot of groups, a lot of organizations. I was a speaker at industry events, and I was also a speaker at what they call 20 groups, which are just industry get-togethers or small groups of dealers. And what I saw was that dealers were leaving a ton of money on the table because of the way they treated the whole F&I component of the transaction, and frankly, the way they treated the customer. So,
okay, so just to be clear, we're talking about finance and insurance, and when you deal with customers once they have, purchased their RV.
They weren't working to maximize the lifestyle experience. So let me just give you a little bit more background there. Finance obviously is finance. It's when you take a loan out and you do that stuff. The insurance part is much broader. It's about protective products. So how does the vehicle get taken care of once the manufacturer warranty runs out? Things like gap insurance. What happens if your vehicle gets totaled early so that the actual value is less than what the loan is? There's a ton of products in that space, and that's all about the insurance space. And that's where there's a lot of money being left on the table in dealerships. And that's what I ended up writing this book about. And that's what Profit Magic is about. And like I say at the beginning of the book, it's not really magic. It's a process. It's an attitude. But when you add 5 or 6 figures of profit to your bottom line, it feels like magic.
That's significant. How are these dealerships messing up? Where are they going wrong?
Well, they're going wrong because they treat finance and insurance almost like an afterthought. So the customer comes into a store, they walk around, they pick something, and then the salesman says, "Great, I'm done with you. Here's our business manager. He's going to talk to you now." And customers have, over a long period of time, been trained to believe that, oh, okay, now is when I get screwed.
Exactly. I was just going to say that. I hate being thrown into that room with that guy.
Well, and so what I talk about is making sure that the whole F&I experience, first of all, it starts before the customer even comes into the store. And it starts by being friendly about how we can help make this whole experience as much fun as you're going to have with the vehicle that you're buying. And, we're just here to make sure that your life is going the way you want it to after you've made this investment. And then there's signs up in the store about how much value somebody got out of a particular product, even compliments about how they were treated by a particular lender. It's not in your face, but it's background. And then it starts with when the salesperson first walks up to the customer and introduces themselves, and they have a brief conversation, and the customer says, "Yeah, I'm looking for a thing," and the sales guy says, "Oh, that's awesome. We've got them. Let me show you. But let me introduce you to somebody. This is Joe. He's our business manager, and he's going to be able to really help you when you found this thing that you love. He's going to be able to really help you make sure that you get out of here happy. And he's going to be able to answer a lot of the questions that I can't answer for you. So I just want you to meet him. You're gonna meet him again later. And now let's go find what you love."
Camper or RV. Yeah.
And honestly, the intention here is not how do we take their money. The intention here is you're making a lifestyle purchase. Our intention is to protect your lifestyle. It's to make sure that your lifestyle is better after you've been here and while you're enjoying your purchase than it was before you started.
Well, Myril, are you going to these RV dealerships? And I mean, you've got a very specific audience, I would think.
So I've published 3 other books, and it was a while ago, but they were high tech. I actually came up in the tech industry, so this is like really new for me. So, I mean, I've got a book called Essential PC DOS, and one called Unix 5 and Xenix System 5 Programmers Tool Chest, and one called Unix Internals.
Okay.
Those were published by publishers, like published the book and I got a royalty and they took care of it. Page publishing is a little different, obviously. And I'm still kind of getting my arms around the experience. So I'm starting now reaching out, especially in the recreational industry. One of the big vehicles is what they call 20 groups. And 20 groups are groups of 20 plus or minus related but non-competitive dealers. So everybody in the group sells Honda boats, but they're not in the same geography. So they're not competing with each other, but they're all facing the same issues. So they have these meetings, and they're called 20 group meetings, and they're facilitated by a 20 group facilitator. And they go through their finances, they go through everything. And like I said, I was a regular speaker at those. And the people who attend those are the dealers who really want to improve their performance. The reason they're going is because they want to be better. And so now I'm reaching out and I'm starting to go back to them. And that's kind of the starting point. And I missed it this year. I missed the big one this year, but coming up in the fall again, I'll be heading out to the big RV show, the big boat show. And I'm thinking I'll probably engage in some of the automotive stuff because, like I said, the higher end stuff is relevant here.
It looks like you know where to find your audience. So that's saying a lot.
Yeah. And frankly, a lot of dealers follow the 20 groups. They don't go, but they know somebody who does, and they talk.
Yeah.
And so, once you can start going down that route, and I'm about to start, or I'm thinking, I'm pretty well connected on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And I'm going to start doing a bunch of stuff on LinkedIn around this.
Great. It sounds like you have a plan, Myril. A good plan. Are you going to keep writing along these lines?
I'm thinking, I haven't started yet, but given everything I'm hearing, I'm thinking about something around incorporating AI and how it works in your store, because there's a lot of confusion, a lot of fear. And there's a lot of things you can do right and a bunch of stuff you can do wrong with AI. And I think I can do something there that could be extremely relevant and useful. But I haven't started it yet. I'm still putting my notes together for that.
That sounds like a great idea. because I think you're absolutely right on. There's people who want to use it, don't know how to use it, might start experimenting with it, not really know where to go, like a step-by-step guide on how it applies to your industry would be great.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And there's also a ton of fear because a lot of people sit around saying, "Oh man, AI is just going to replace my people," and then people get upset and they get worried about it, and it doesn't work that way. It doesn't have to.
No.
And there's a bunch of tools there, and they also look at it as a brick. But AI can be a foundation and make everything work better, and all your people work better, and all your processes work better. But it's making things better, not replacing things. So I think that's the fundamental message. Make it better.
Myril, I'm looking forward to that. All right.
Awesome.
You are Myril Shaw, author of Profit Magic. Thanks so much. So interesting.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Keith Irons will tell you that no book has been written that will guide to success the over 3 million privately held organizations that make up much of the U.S. economy until now. Strategize This promises an opportunity to follow an easy-to-understand process structured to fit an organization's needs. Now, Keith, one of the major things you bring to the table is your proven record of success.
Well, what I did do, I was in operations. I was CEO of manufacturing companies over the time, operated internationally, had offices in 3 manufacturing facilities in the U.S., 1 manufacturing facility in the U.K., office in Amsterdam, Munich, opened an office in São Paulo, Brazil. Now, that was all past history. I don't ever choose to retire, so I continue to work. I do currently M&A, mergers and acquisitions, help companies that want to sell. I find buyers for them, and I will continue to work by choice.
Okay. And clearly you found a need for this book.
Coming out of operations, I found out that publicly held bodies have people on staff like me that look for the future and get heavily involved in planning strategically. But privately held organizations in this country have not had any resource that they could turn to do this. So that's what I decided to do. The book is dedicated to primarily the small companies make up the backbone of the economy, and gives them a resource that they can turn to. And the goal for the book, which I put in writing, is to have a positive impact on the economic climate of this nation. It will have that kind of an impact.
Well, your subtitle is Planning to Win versus Planning Not to Fail.
Well, when you talk with a lot of organizations, they're positioning themselves so that they just want to continue to do what they're doing, but they want to guard themselves so that failure is not an option. But in so doing, they've literally blocked themselves out from any growth with that posture. So the reason for that different position, one is the position to grow, one is simply to position themselves so that they don't fail. It's a very positive outlook.
Are there similarities between companies that fail? Do they tend to do the same thing?
They find something they're doing well and they guard it carefully. But in the process, they're not positioning themselves for growth. It's strictly a defensive posture as opposed to an offensive posture. And because of that, they lose the opportunity for growth. So what the book does, it emphasizes the positive side, the growth side, and it positions themselves. They can control that kind of growth.
In your synopsis, you say that you write this book like a novel, and it's a storyline that follows two organizations that are successful with two different strategies.
Correct.
One focused on positioning for growth, the other focused on positioning not to fail.
You summed it up beautifully. That's exactly right. And I wrote it as a novel for readability. Too many business books are not that easy to read. This one, I wanted to be an easy read and yet have some real substance to it, which it does.
And by the end of the book, we find out who wins.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
And it sounds to me that the company that's positioning not to fail is the one that fails.
Correct. That is
Okay.
absolutely correct.
So is it fear of taking risks? Is that what holds companies back?
That's a great question. I can't make a blanket statement for all companies, but that's a huge part of it. Not to take any aggressive moves because concerned about failure, yes. And so they lose possible great opportunities because of that.
What would be, the most important takeaway?
Most important takeaway, quite frankly, is a process. It's a process that's been honed carefully for many years. I personally conducted these sessions for well over 100 organizations in this country, all the way from billion-dollar organizations down to smaller organizations. The process works. And if you implement the process, I gave a personal guarantee to the organizations that I work with, a personal guarantee for success. Now, I can't do that, can't make a blanket statement like in a book because things happen. But truth is, if you follow the process, you should be very successful.
Okay. Well, how are you telling companies about this book? You're still very much in the game.
I could, but I also believe that a strong marketing organization should be able to create the message. A book is a lot less expensive for somebody to go away to I won't use the word seminar, but to a session somewhere, simply pick up a book that assures success. And a good marketing group, I think, can convey that message.
Do you have any ideas?
Well, I'm a fan of Steve Forbes. I've met Steve. I know I've met him, and the Forbes organization will be a key part of this. I'm in the process, as we speak, of writing to Steve to try to get his organization to help back up. He's got a database of organizations that would assure success. But that's just one facet of it. The other facet of it is, I think, high level of this social media, which can be misused or properly used, social media, and get that message across very, very quickly. And so I think that's going to be a huge part of this.
Okay. Will you be putting something on social media?
Yes, very much so, yes.
Do you mean ads or examples of strategies that work?
I will be putting out on social media a framework that talks about the need, talks about the market, talks about the solution, talks about the process, and then if people follow that, simply step by step by step, allows them to use the book as I won't say the gospel, that's not true, but use the book as a guide. Follow the process, and success should be assured. That's the message.
Are you going to keep writing, Keith?
I am. There's a second book already following this one that's It's copyrighted, and in process, it will be an implementation guide for the book. So now they have the book, they have the process, and the second book, which will follow up immediately, is the implementation guide. It gives chapter and verse of step by step how to initiate and implement this within their organization. So the combination of those two works will help. There are going to be two other books that will follow these, talking about the communicating vehicle necessary in an organization to get the message across. It's one that I've honed for the last 20 years or so with hundreds of organizations in this country, and it works. So there'll be two books following this. There's a previous book I wrote some 40 some years ago that is that book was written prior to this one. It was written for providing the managerial resources to make the plan happen. That one I wrote first, and then it should have been the second book, but happened to be the first. And they make the strategic plan then become a reality.
Okay. Wow, Keith. Busy. You're going to be a busy guy.
Well, by choice. I don't choose to retire.
Good for you.
I will keep working and enjoying it.
Good for you. Keith Irons, author of Strategize This. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for your insights, your perceptions. You're very good, and I appreciate the time with you. Thank you.
A CPA, professor, and eventually second in command at a 4-year college in North Carolina, there was one more thing Ginger Tuton wanted to do. Right. The name of your book, Trippy's Great Adventures, Meeting My Humans, Discovering the Woods, and Teaching Mike to Swim. Unfortunately, finding the time to write this book wasn't easy, was it? Now, your dad passed away 3 years ago. You retired.
And while I was taking care of my mom, I wrote this book, Trippy's Great Adventures, based on my son's dog. During COVID, my son, who was getting ready to start his senior year at Carolina, and he took him to Chapel Hill and kept him for a year. And then my son got accepted into law school. And my husband and I said, you can't have this dog in a tiny little apartment while you're in class for, 12 hours a day. So Trip came to live with us. So we have Zilly, who is 14. She is a rescue dog as well. She's a Beagle Basset Hound. And Trip and Zilly just are totally connected. Trip is definitely an adventure dog, as you can see from the book. He has an incredible connection to other animals. He is totally silent. He's husky, German Shepherd mix. He's white. He's got the most beautiful eyes you've ever seen. And everybody said he's going to bark all the time. And he is completely, totally silent. But he has this incredible connection with other animals. And that is the reason why I wrote the book. Very first time that we saw him with another animal, he was out in the backyard and a deer came up and the two of them touched noses. And they do it all the time. Like every time that deer comes up, Trip goes up and they touch noses. Snapping turtle probably wasn't the best thing, but the snapping turtle made a nest right next to the fence. Trip went up, and made friends with the snapping turtle. We went out in the boat and he leaned over the edge and a school of dolphin came up and a dolphin came right up, touched noses with him. And we have pictures of all of that. It's the most amazing thing. His connection with other animals is just awesome. And that's the reason why I wrote the book.
In the synopsis, it says, I am an expert in zoomies, a sign of a very happy pup. What's a zoomie?
So a zoomie is when a dog runs. Trippy will, without a sound, but he will run through the backyard, and we leave the front door or the back door open, run through the door, over the couch, jump over Zilly, jump over me, and he just gets like these crazy energy vibes. But then after about 4 or 5 loops around, then he just lies down, totally happy, content. That's a zoomie.
I want to be Trippy.
Zilly does not like the zoomies.
And he loves to chase tennis balls, especially ones that squeak. What dog doesn't? And he taught Mike to swim, right?
So we were down at the beach. First time I ever walked Trev. And he's a husky, so he's very, very strong. He saw the neighbor's dog, he took off. And unfortunately, I had the leash around my wrist. And so I fell, totally broke my right arm toward the shoulder. And my husband came running out and, of course, had to go to the emergency room. So he was like, okay, he helped me into the car. And then Mike was trying to get him in the car. Trip saw seagulls and took off. And we were at the Intercoastal Waterway, which in North Carolina, if the listeners understand, Intercoastal Waterway is like a highway for boats. It's like 50 feet deep. And Trip jumps in the water. So Mike actually is a very good swimmer, but he dove in and had to swim out and grab onto Trip's collar and bring him back in. So that's the part of Trip saying, taught Mike to swim, even though. And then we went to the emergency room. So Trip soaking wet, me broken arm, Mike soaking wet, and we all went to the emergency room together. But another adventure. It does make for good reading.
And there's more adventures coming?
Yeah, I think that we would definitely love to go ahead and do another book. The one thing about this book and the next one that's coming, totally true stories. Like, I mean, it is totally true. Nothing made up. He and that deer, and he and the snapping turtle and lizards and all of that is all completely, I mean, the dolphin, all completely true. I mean, it's amazing the effect that he has on other animals.
With your connection to education, are you able to get to children so you can share Trippy's stories?
Yeah, I'm actually looking at it right now. I've got a bag and I've got stuffed animals, one with Trippy, one with Zilly, all of the animals that he's met. Bought a table to go to the schools. But yeah, I also I do have that connection. I run every day, and my running partner is my next door neighbor, but she is a retired principal and very connected with the school system. So yeah, we are planning on meeting up with all the librarians, doing signings in the schools. And Fulton Books actually connected to Target and Barnes & Noble and Walmart and Amazon. So we're planning on doing lots of book signings.
I think the hardest part is getting out there and doing what you're doing, is connecting with libraries, connecting with the audience that you intend your book for. So if you have, as an educator, if you have any advice for writers listening right now or people who want to write.
It by far was one of the best things that I've ever done. I think the best advice is don't give up. Believe in what you've written, believe in what you've done, and explain that to anyone who can help you on that journey. If you wrote something that you truly love, that you really, really love, and that you think can make a difference, like my book, I truly believe that my book, and I've had probably 200 children that have received this book, and they send me messages all the time, and they say, we love Trippy. We love the adventure that he had. We love all of what he's done. We love the fact that he is just kind and good and quiet. And it's incredible to get those messages from children and also from parents. It's pretty incredible. So believe in what you've done, promote it the best way that you can. Don't take no for an answer, and just do everything that you can to get that message out. If you truly believe in the book, just do whatever it takes to get that message out. And if you can change one life, like if one child sends you a message saying this book is awesome, I love it, then it was worth it.
All right. You are Ginger Tuton, author of Trippy's Great Adventures, Meeting My Humans, Discovering the Woods, and Teaching Mike to Swim. Thanks so much, Ginger.
All right. Thank you so much.
It's safe to say Robert Puhl is the kind of guy who doesn't like to sit still. Twice retired and living in Oklahoma, writing his book, A Lot of Memories, is just the beginning of his stories to tell. Give me that list of accomplishments.
For the last 20 years, I was a safety director at a fiber processing company in Southern California. Then we moved here, and I was a safety director at OK Foods, chicken plant here in Fort Smith, Arkansas, which is like 9 miles away. And then I retired. Then I went to Carl Albert State College and taught occupational safety and health for like 7 years. Then
you wrote the book.
Yeah. So
was this something you always wanted to do?
No, it came about because when I started teaching at Carl Albert, was an adjunct instructor, which is, adjunct instructor is something like a tumor on an organization. It's the first thing they cut out. You're attached to it, but they'll cut you out as soon as they can. And so I loved teaching in person, but I only did two classes because I didn't want to do it every day. But I loved it in front of the students. And then they went to everything was online. But it was nice because I could teach 5 classes now. And then I was all ready to go for the fall semester, and they decided my services were no longer required. But what I was doing, though, I had all the class, already done, all my work already done. You have to for that, when you're teaching online, because, well, you just have to really, because you can let your students go whatever pace they want, with them get way ahead if they wanted to. And what I thought about doing is, make this class a little more personal. I was going to do about 5-minute videos of anything that came to my mind, my history, work stuff or home stuff, jokes, whatever it was. And it would not be mandatory, it would not be graded. And I would disperse these throughout my classes just to break things up a little bit. So I had a bunch of them, already scripted and everything. And then when they said my service was no longer required, so I thought, well, hey, I have all this material. I'm going to see I'm going to type it all up and see how big it came. And it came to like 30,000 words. And I found out that was like the minimum requirement for a book. So I figured, well, I'm going to make a book out of it.
So this came from these videos you were creating?
Yes, as kind of like extracurricular diversions in an online class, just to give them a little break from me yakking at him about safety and ocean and everything, you know? Because one of the things that I brought, my boss, she has a master's degree in occupational health and safety, but she never, ever worked in the field as a safety director. So I knew the students loved it when I talked about stuff that happened to me in the real world, you know? They really liked that. The book learning stuff is fine, but, you know, but it's a whole bit different when you're out there dealing with OSHA, dealing with, you know, injuries and a whole 9 yards. Managers that don't want to cooperate and everything else. So I like doing it. I really like my job.
A Lot of Memories is the name of your book. Do you categorize them? Are they memories from your marriage, relationships, raising children,
everything.
work?
Everything.
Like, is it like one chapter on each area of your life?
You know, I didn't know how to organize it. So I kind of organized it chronologically, starting off, and I went by where I lived, in Pittsburgh, PA, and then in a different place where I lived. And that's kind of how I'd remember them too, you know?
Yeah.
So and every chapter, if you want to call it, might be 2 paragraphs. It might be 3 pages, you know? And and then I threw in, because my kids were there all the time, I threw in for them, and my pets were all over the place. So I threw in one kind of chapter for the kids, one kind of chapter for the pets. If you call them chapters, I don't know. I call them that.
Well, is there a standout memory for you that you can share with me?
Well, there's so many, but one classic example, I was going to, me and my buddy, we're going to night classes at West Virginia Northern Community College. And now, was in a class somewhere else, and he was actually a disc jockey. So this guy could talk. You know, when you're in like a freshman or something like that in college, and a speech class is like the most horrifying thing to most people.
Yeah.
You know, give a 3-minute speech. You know, how am I going to get this to 3 minutes? You say, give him a 3-minute speech. You go, how am I going to cut it down to 3 minutes? You know. Wayne, I'm sorry, his name was Wayne. And so he goes up to the front of the class and he knocks it out of the ballpark. I mean, he was just great. He struts back, and he was sitting right behind me in class. He struts back to class and looks at me and says, "How'd I do, Bob?" And I says, "Great, Wayne, but your fly was open."
No.
It wasn't, but I had to knock him down a peg.
Nice. Did he appreciate that?
Oh yeah, we are buddies, you know. You do that with your buddies, you know. Oh, it's one of my favorites. So when I was just a supervisor at a cut and sew operation making draperies in Pittsburgh, these 2 women were on the floor and they were going to get a fight. There it started. So we called them in the office, right? We sat them down to get this thing talked out, and then during the discussion, one of them jumps up and points at the other one and says, "You're nothing but a whore and a dope addict." The other one jumped up, and we thought, "Oh, here they go." And she says, "You leave my personal life out of this."
Oh, jeez.
And really, one of my favorites too. In 2001, right after 9/11, I was coming back from the Oakland airport, and they just had the kiosk, and you know, the security was a mess. And I'm in line, and the next kiosk, there's this little lady with a bushka, and she's got knitting needles. And the TSA agent says, "You can't take these on the plane." And this woman didn't speak any English. And the TSA agent was very nice. She calls out in desperation, "Does anybody here speak Farsi?" This big, tall drink of water comes walking over. She says, "Yes, I speak a little bit of Farsi." And she says, "Oh, thank you. Would you please tell this lady that she can't take these on a plane?" He says, "Yes." So he walks up to this lady, towers over her, and says, "You can't take these on the plane."
No.
It was so, and at the same, I was so stressed, I didn't even think. I'm like, I got home and started telling my wife. I thought I broke out laughing then.
Oh.
But yeah, that's what he starts yelling at her.
Oh.
He thought that was Farsi, was 90 decibels, I guess.
Oh,
I don't know.
jeez. Oh, my gosh, Bob. Fun story. You know, you should have a cocktail party and just have like, I'm going to be talking about my book. I'm going to sign copies. Come on down. What do you want the readers to come away with? I
just want them to come away with, you know, just, if you told them a joke, you know, we expect them to come away with just a little bit of happy time. That's all.
A little happy time.
Bit, you know,
yeah.
A little bit of joy in your life. And I don't dwell on the unhappy stuff in one's life.
Okay.
You know, I think I mentioned something in my book, but I don't dwell on it.
Okay. Are you going to keep writing?
You know, I kind of. One thing I use my phone for, when something occurs to me, or I'm out, I pick up my phone and make a note of it. So I've got about 7,000 words written of the kind of the same thing.
All right, Robert. Robert Puhl? Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any reasonable facsimile is accepted.
Okay.
And usually when somebody says, how do you pronounce that? I usually say, pretty good, but I've had a lot of practice.
Thanks, Bob. All right, Robert.
Okay.
Robert Puhl, author of A Lot of Memories.
All right. Thanks, Allison.
We hope you enjoyed this edition of the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable, where authors from all walks of life come together to discuss the trials, tribulations, and triumphs of publishing their books. I'm Alice Stockton Rossini. We hope to see you back here every Saturday night at 8 o'clock, or listen to our podcast anytime on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, and PodServe, just to name a few. The Author Roundtable is sponsored by ReaderHouse Online Bookstore, where independent new authors come first.